Alright, I'm making a video on how I breed my rainbow fish here. The first thing you'll need is a spawning mop. What you'll need for that is some yarn, some scissors, and some sort of book. Paperback works better. You want it to be about, the book, to be about 7-8 inches long or width or whatever. And if you don't have a book that small, you can just cut it down, so it doesn't really matter. But you want the book to be at least like 7-8 inches, somewhere in there. Paperback works better because it's easier to get it off. And on the spawning mop, I like to do about 40 wraps or so. How you do that is you just kind of hold the first one with your finger, and you just go around. I mean, that's it, really. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And whenever you kind of get to the end of the book, I just push it all to one side. So far we're at 10, and we want to go to 40. If you're breeding rainbow fish, you'll also want a cork or something to make it float. I'm actually going to make this spawning mop for corydoras, so I'm not going to have a cork or anything. I'm just going to have the yarn. But if you want to do it for rainbow fish, you need the cork. Or anything that floats, really. That's not toxic. I mean, you can use like a rubber duck if you wanted to. You can also buy these if you don't want to make them, but it doesn't take but a second to make them. 15, 16. And you'll want to use acrylic yarn. Not any, so it doesn't, like break down in the aquarium. I like to use kind of a dark green so it doesn't show algae and stuff. I think we're on about 25 so far. Something like that. 26. 27. And whenever you're looking for the eggs, keep in mind that Chilatherina rainbowfish, they like to lay kind of more towards the top, and Melitinania, can't say that word, like to kind of lay more in the middle. I don't know about any of the other species, those are the only ones that I keep. Okay, we need to do about 4 more. 2, 3, 4. Push this all to one side, just the scissor that way, cut off your excess. And then what I do is I just take the scissors, I try to find where my end is that I started with, and I just cut like right along that. So I'm just taking the scissors in here, and then I'm just cutting it. And your cut doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to trim it up later anyway. Drop the string. It's okay, we can just put it back on. Try to make sure all the strings are kind of towards the middle. Actually, we'll use this shorter one. It's a rope. Kind of brush it out. Try to get it about even. That looks pretty good. You'll take one of your strands, or you can just cut off another piece, and you just tie the strand in the middle of it all. See, that looks pretty good. And I'll just throw any old knot in it. I'm just doing a little overhand knot here. Pull it tight. And if you're going around a cork or something, at this point you'd put the cork right here, and then you just tie the cork on, or whatever you're using to make it float. Where's my other end? But since I'm dang, where'd it go? Lost it. But since I'm not doing a floating one, I'm doing a sinking one. I'm going to get a little rock. I forgot my rock. Let me get it. Got my rock. So I'm going to tie it on the same way you'd tie on, whatever it is you're going to use to make it float. If you're building one for rainbow fish, again, I'm making this one for some stir-by corydoras. So I'm using a rock so it sinks. I'm just doing a overhand knot. If I can get it. There it is. And sometimes it's easier if you have a different color string to tie it on so you can see it better, but you don't have to. Just doing a granny knot here. Right, tied on. It's not going anywhere. Might do another loop here actually, since this rock's kind of a weird shape. Okay. Let me get this tied on a little bit better. Hold on. This rock's kind of a weird shape. Alright, got it tied on. Again, if you're building them up for rainbow fish, don't use a rock, use a cork or something that floats. But bring this one for corydoras. And just straighten it out. And just cut off the bits you don't want. And you don't have to do this step, it just makes it look prettier. Now it's all even. And before I put this in the tank, I like to wash it out in the sink just to make sure there's nothing weird on it. And then what you'll do with this after you wash it out and everything, you'll just put it in your rainbow fish tank and leave it in there for a week or 10 days or really however long you feel like it. Yeah. Rainbow fish eggs generally start hatching about day 10 or so. So if you leave it in for 10 days, you'll get the, most eggs probably, but you don't have to. I mean, you can leave it in for however long you want. And after you have it in for 10 days, I like to use a 10-gallon, like this one. And you just put the spawning moth in, and just plop it in there. See, this is how I did it with the cork, by the way. It's the same thing, you just tie it on. But you just plop it in there, and from day one, especially if you left it in for 10 days, I start feeding, well, it's best if you have green water, but, it can be kind of hard. Like, I know sometimes this tank gets a little bit cold, and then it all goes away, but, it's a lot easier if you have green water, but you don't have to. If you don't have green water, you'll want to start, feeding vinegar eels or micro worms or the little golden pearls, like the smallest ones, from the first day till about 2 weeks or so. Well, really, until they're big enough to accept something bigger. For the first week, they can only eat really small foods, like the smallest golden pearls and vinegar eels and stuff like that. But after that, they'll accept some bigger things, like really finely crushed up flake and some of the other fry foods and stuff. Yeah, I mean, just go based off how they look, really, how big they are, how much you think they can eat. You'll want to feed them at least 2 times a day, but the more the merrier, really. You want to have at least 2 hours in between feedings. What I do with them, my water change schedule, I just change 50% a week, nothing special. Yeah, I like to keep the water around 76, 74, somewhere in there. If you have it warmer, they'll grow faster, but I mean, I haven't found it really makes that much of a difference, to be honest. Yeah, they take a long time to grow, and they have to eat really small foods for a long time. These guys in here, you can see them, they're like 3 or 4 month old Chilatherina alleni wapoga fry. And yeah, I mean, I'll keep them in here until I feel they're big enough to go in the main display tank. I think there's 6 of them. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really try with this batch to get a lot. And really, you don't want a lot because these things can breed like by the hundreds, and then you have to try to get rid of them, and that can be kind of hard, to be honest. So, I don't breed for profit or anything. I just breed for, like my personal tanks, so I don't have to spend a bunch of money on fish if I can just breed my own. So, save a little bit of money that way. But, rainbow fish are not a good fish to breed for profit. They take forever to grow up. And, I mean, these are 4 months old, and they don't hardly have any color at all. They're not a good fish to breed. Breed like some stir-by corydoras or something if you want to make money. Rainbow fish are not it. They take forever to raise, and they're annoying. They're easy to breed, but it's not hard to take care of the fry. You just need to feed them small foods. But yeah, I mean, I'll show you the eggs and stuff here in a minute and what the adults look like. If you're trying to breed them, most rainbow fish need to be at least 6 months old, like the adults. So, and they'll produce more eggs if they're older, but at least 6 months. You want to make sure you have males and females. They're real easy to tell apart. The males are the pretty ones. They also have different butt fins. The males have a more pointy one, and the females is more rounded. But you don't have to look at their fins to tell them apart. It's really obvious in almost all the rainbow species which one's male and female. So yeah, I'll show you the adults and what a spawning mop looks like after it's been in a tank with them for, I don't know how long it's been there, to be honest. I think maybe a week or 2. Yeah. Alright, so I got a spawning mop right here. And I found they'll lay in the spawning mop over plants. You see I have this plant that's real bushy. And there's no eggs on it. These are just air bubbles, I think. Yeah, those are just air bubbles. Well, there might be a few eggs on it, but it's mostly on the spawning mop over here. See, here's the spawning mop. How I like to take these out is you just pick them up, and then you just squeeze them kind of all the way down. And rainbow fish eggs are really tough. You don't need to worry about hurting them. And then we look through it. See, look at all these eggs right now. See them all? There's, I think, like 6 or so right there. And yeah, I can look through this, and they're just everywhere, So Chilatherina breed more up towards the top, and Melamatania. I cannot say that word today for some reason. They breed more towards the bottom. So what you want to do is you just take it out of your display or whatever. It's really hard to raise rainbow fish with their adults. I've done it before, but it's not. You're not going to get any good hatches. And you just put it in your 10-gallon. Oh, let me show you what the adults of these look like. That's the male there, and that's a female. There's another female in here too, somewhere. By the way, Chilatherina like to breed more towards like noonish, and the the other one that I can't say today for some. Oh, that's the male right there. You see that color on his head, and he's chasing the female. I think I might have said a female was the male, but I lied. That's the male there. They'll get a big color thing on their head, and yeah, they'll start chasing the females around, and that's how you know it's breeding time. So, well, yeah, look at all them eggs. Yeah, I'm going to bring these upstairs to my other tanks. I think I'm going to put these in with the corydoras. I think it'll probably be fine. I think the rainbow fish that I have now are big enough to eat these guys, so I'm going to put it in with the corydoras. I don't think they will, but we'll see. Snails, people say snails will eat the eggs and stuff, but honestly I haven't had a problem with that, so I don't know, maybe. And if the eggs are white, I don't see any on here. But if they're like real white, and you'll be able to tell, that means they're infertile. So, and they might fungus up, so you can pick them off if you want to, but I never do. Plopping them in with the corydoras. I think they'll probably be alright over there, in there. I'll let you all know if I see fry or anything. So, yeah. Oh, I also took this egg out just to show you guys how strong they are. Put it right there. I'll put it on this little food container. You'll see it good. And then I'll put, I don't know, this spoon here on top of it. It's rolling around on there, and the egg's fine. I'll try to smash it with my finger as hard as I can. And the egg's still intact. You really don't have to worry about smashing these things. You'd really have to be trying to squish them. So, yeah, I mean, don't worry about crushing them. You're not gonna crush them. You'll see it. See, still an egg, still round, still good. So yeah, that's the end of the video. So the moral of the story is make a spawning mop, put it in with your rainbows, take it out after like 10 days, feed them small foods, and they take forever to grow. That's about all you need to know. And don't put them in with the parents as fry, or they're probably going to eat them. It's the next day, and we have a little baby already. Where's it? It's hard to see with this camera. You'll see. It's right there. Hopefully you can see him. Running. Right there. Focus on him. There we go. Now you can see him. It's right there. That's how big a day-old baby rainbow is. Very small. I put some micro worms in for the corydoras, and I don't think he'll be big enough to eat them, so he will be in a few days probably, but I think they might be a little bit big for him now. So I'm gonna get some vinegar eels for him. And baby rainbow fish like to stay at the top of the water, so you need foods that will stay at the top. Microworms will sink, and I'll feed them microworms a lot, but they'll kind of foul the water up a little bit because they sink, and the rainbows only stay at the top. But with the corydoras at the bottom, it might be a good setup, and I'm sure I could feed as many microworms as I want. So